Ironside will not be seen tonight, so we may bring you the following special program.
Please support the Word Balloon podcast by going to patreon.com/wordballoon. Become a part of the League of Word Balloon listeners. That's patreon.com/wordballoon. Welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Always happy to welcome from the corner bar, Jimmy Palmiotti. Good to see you, Jimmy.
How's it going, John?
It's going good, buddy.
I feel small. I feel like. Why am I? Let me fix this. Maybe that's better. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I got a weird blur going on. I don't know what the hell's going on with me.
Yeah, you look like you're in the Matrix right now.
I'm excited for you. You only got a week left, but cool little Kickstarter going on. Painkiller Jane and GI Zombie together for the first time. Big crossover.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I know Jane has crossed over before with Dynamite characters and Marvel characters, right? List the people that Jane has been with.
Let's see. I think Hellboy, Dogchild, Vampirella. Let's see. Punisher, Monolith, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. I think it was like six, maybe 6 or 7 crossovers over a period of 20-something years,
Yeah.
Maybe even more than 20, maybe over 30 years. But this last one is, it's a cool one because Justin Gray and I created GI Zombie for DC Comics, and we had a good run, and we had a good 8-issue run of the series, and it was with Scott Hampton, doing it. Actually, Scott did one of the covers on the Kickstarter. I love the character, but when it was created, it was a brand new character. So when we did the character for DC, we had a creator deal with them, which always has a rights reversion. If they don't use the character again, we get an offer for the rights back. And they didn't use the character because sometimes you create something and nobody cares at the whatever. That's fine by me. So when the time limit ran out, we were able to get it back from DC. So now Justin and I own the property 100%, and I figured, well, what fitting way to introduce her to new people is to put her in a Painkiller Jane story. So it's Painkiller Jane meets GI Zombie, aka invading Epstein Island kind of story. It's kind of crazy. The Kickstarter has got a week left, but it's 2 books. It's 2. I think it's like they're like 28 to 30 pages each of story, and then the book is bigger than that, but that's of actual comic pages. And I've been working on it for a year, a little over a year. Me and Juan Santa Cruz have been working on this for, I'd say it's a little over a year. And we are very proud of the book. It's for adults only because a lot of nudity, a lot of craziness going on in it. But that's how I like my Painkiller Jane books, a little uncensored, and the Kickstarter. It's funny because for this one, it's a little slow on the Kickstarter. I got to admit, it's not. I look at how many people back it, and it's almost half of the last Kickstarter thing, which I'm just like. I'm thinking maybe it's not getting out there enough. Maybe, I'm just not getting the attention on it. We hit the goal, so I'm happy about that. But I would like to do some stretch goals on it to give people extra stuff.
Sure.
And I just want to say a quick hello to Zach. He's always coming by. I love seeing Zach. So this last week, I'm going to be pushing it a little more. And obviously, with you, John. It just means 10 billion more people will be coming to it this week, so I'm really happy about that.
Here, here.
But you know, it's Amanda did a couple of covers for it, and then we have the Scott Hampton cover, and the piece you just saw was Moritad, who is my artist on.
Oh, I love him. Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, he did this from All Star West. That's just a little clip of the actual cover. You know, it's
Yeah.
just a little panel from it. But the book itself, like I said, I'm really proud of the book, and I'm hoping I can get it in as many people's hands as I possibly can.
Escape from Epstein Island. Obviously, Jeffrey
It's
Epstein.
not the name of this. It's not the name of the story, but I was inspired for the fact that what if there was something like that out there, and it wasn't just about perversion. What if it was like arms dealers and all these crazy people?
Sure.
And our guys, it's the story isn't about them looking for this island. It's actually they're on another mission and something goes terribly wrong, and they wind up washing up on an island, and they wash up in the worst place they could wash up on it, and the two of them have to navigate their way out of that place, you know. And it's just like I always look at these books as if I could make a movie, what would I want it to be? I'd want it to be this book, because this book is so crazy, and they just don't make movies like this. They just don't. They play it really safe these days, and you know, I want to say, after watching what is it, White Orchid,
White Lotus.
White Lotus this past week, watching the finale, I'm laughing because I'm like, this Painkiller Jane book will fit right into that madness. I don't know if you watched that. Did you watch that, John? Or no?
I haven't watched the current season yet, but I'm certainly aware, and I've certainly seen the headlines of some of the shocking episodes.
Well, it's one of those things that it's the best part of it is the sum of it all, rather than the ending. The ending is anticlimactic in a sense.
Okay.
But the as Jim Morrison said, the best part of the trip is the trip, right?
100%, the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And also, how does it compare to the other seasons of the White Lotus?
So I still like the second season is still my favorite, I think, because it made me laugh so much. It hit like a certain couple of things for me that I thought was great. But I honestly, there is no bad season of this show. So
okay.
I just think Parker Posey like shines in this, and
love her.
There's a couple of people that it's kind of fun because it's sort of like a modern day Love Boat where you get all these characters, you shove them in, and then it's like, but it's like modern day madness, you know.
Oh yeah.
R-rated kind of madness thrown in. I think it's just a distraction everybody needs with everything going on in the world. I think it's a really good distraction. And at the same time, it kind of makes you appreciate the simple life you have at the same time, because these characters go through some madness in this. Yeah.
Well, honestly, man, ever since you've started doing your own thing with paper films and your various Kickstarters, when you dip into R-rated territory, I'm for it, man. Again, because there's got to be room for all kinds of books, and you're always upfront about, hey, it's going to have nudity, it's going to have extreme violence. But
yeah,
it's never the only thing, obviously.
Right. I don't do there's no hardcore sex or anything like that.
Sure.
I don't do that. It's just I like to give a heads up for nudity because some people they see a nipple and their heads explode. So
100%, man.
This will if a nipple makes your head explode, this book will kill your whole family. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Well, but also now, and really, Jim, I am a bleeding heart, old fashioned liberal, but right. I also think that sadly, along with the extreme right, there's been an overcorrection from the extreme left, and we are getting from the major studios, like you were saying, this concern. I mean, we just went through the whole Snow White kerfuffle,
right?
That. Part of it was the actor's fault, but also a big part of it was Disney from day one going, well, dwarves, that's not PC. Thank God Dinklage and other little people actors are like, you just killed 7 jobs for us. And they exist. It's like, I'm sorry, little people exist. Again, it's this overcorrection. And I think people in the middle are like, okay, enough. And I really hope that, we're starting to get back to a little more acceptance of fun, raunchy comedy, if you will.
Right. I'm in the world of, I'm a creator, so I do what I see, and then I let other people follow or don't follow it.
Yeah.
When comic books start acknowledging movies, that's the end of comics. Okay? It's movies that need to acknowledge comics, right? Movies steal from comics.
Yep.
Comics should not ever steal from movies.
Agreed.
We have a whole, we create things in the comics, and then the movie people try to figure out how to do it, right? It's not the other way around. We don't line up to look at a movie and see what we should do, because the minute you do that, that's old already.
Yep.
And my attitude with the characters, or everything I do, all the books I do, is I don't really care what is going on in the world. I'm writing the characters, I see it, and that's my name on it. So somebody's going to expect, you're going to expect what you're going to expect. I can't worry about what the world is doing and all that kind of shit. I really can't, because by the time you acknowledge something, it's already dated. It's sort of like saying, oh, I want to stay hip, so I'm going to put some hip terms. Well, it instantly dates the work you do. So I've learned to just write what I see fit, and it's probably why I don't get hired as much as I used to. But my attitude on it is, the people that do like my work like it because it's not doing that. It's not. If I wrote Power Girl again, it would be nothing like the Power Girl they've been doing for the past whatever years. I would go right back to the Power Girl Amanda and I did and continue. Same thing with Harley. I'm doing this Harley Elvira thing. It literally is the last Harley we wrote. It's the next day. And we're keeping the continuity of what we do together. So no matter what they do with the other books, I don't really care. I don't read them, so I don't really care what they're doing. It doesn't matter to me. If you're going to hire us to do Harley, we're going to do the Harley we're familiar with. We did for 5 years. That's the Harley we're going to do. Nobody wants us to do a different Harley. They want us to do the one. And with this Elvira book coming from DC and Dynamite, it's the way Amanda and I see Harley, and either you're going to like it or you're not. But it's going to be true to the character. It's going to be the tone of the character that people are used to. Yeah. And for those 15 or 20 million or 100 people that don't like our Harley, they really don't have to read it. It's okay. There's like 300 other books on the stands that week. Go buy those. It's okay. I'm
with you, man.
I'll live, man. I'll live. It'll be okay. But I don't want to try to write to make a group of people happy. And I think the problem with Disney and all these things is it's not the share. They need to make the shareholders happy, not the audience. So the audience doesn't have continuity with what they want. The problem with everything with entertainment these days is they just keep doing too much of the same crap over and over. I don't need 100 different Predator movies or Alien movies. I don't need 1,000 Star Wars shows. I need Cameron to stop with Avatar and do some new movies. I want to see him do some new stuff. I'm not a believer in having to water down everything. I never want to see another John Wick movie after 4 because supposedly he died. So why am I seeing 5? Like I'm not going to go see it. I feel like the movies, what they got is they got panicky and they're reacting and they're figuring the only thing left is to do the same thing over and over again. And then the audience is, they're tired of it, and then once in a while something does well. So they all have the red carpet is laid out for another 65 part 2s and part 3s and part 4s. But in the end, that's what TV used to do, right? I want to go to the theater and see something. Look, with all the CGI and all this science fiction, why aren't we having new science fiction epics? Why is everything a spinoff? And for me, now, granted, this is a guy coming that did Jane for the past 20 years, but my character does not sit still. The character changes. Every book I do, she's changing. She's not the character that started in the comic, and she's far from it, actually. And if the characters don't, I get it. People want the sameness in superhero movies, and I get it. But like I said, as a comic book writer, that's what the movie people do. We have to come up with new things, and I don't know. That's just my rant. It's
No, I
over.
get it, Jim, and honestly, I appreciate the rant because I
Yeah.
feel the same way. And yeah, it's so crazy, that Minecraft movie was, I think, the big winner last weekend,
Right.
and it's, well, again, I've never played. I'm aware of Minecraft, certainly. I've
Right.
never played it, but
Yeah.
it's and it's so ironic. I saw on X with you that you
Yeah.
dropped Apple recently. Did you
Yeah.
watch any of the studio before you dropped it?
I dropped it right before the studio. I will catch it once Apple has 10 more programs I want to see.
I
But
get it.
I saw everything I wanted to see on Apple. I tried to watch season 2 of that show. I can't remember the name of it, where everybody's stuck in the office, then they go home and
Yeah, Severance.
yeah, Severance. And we didn't like the first 2 episodes. I was like, it's boring, and we just didn't finish it. But I watched Silo, I watched all the movies.
Yeah.
I could take a break from that channel. I canceled the Apple and I went and put Tubi on, and Tubi had a bunch of old Robert Mitchum movies I've been watching
Yes.
this month.
Ha!
And my thing is, I don't need the dump. We canceled the regular cable because I don't need I need Fox News on I need CNN. I don't need any of those news networks because they're all propaganda garbage. I wish they would actually report instead of opinion news. I don't need opinion news. I actually like news that this is what happened today. This building burned down. I don't need to have a guy that wasn't there who once fought a fire tell me what he thinks might have happened.
I get it.
Right? That's
Yeah.
exhausting. It's
It is exhausting. Absolutely. No,
and,
couple comments. Mr. Monarch,
yes.
great to see you both. My question is, how did you get the rights to GI Zombie back from DC?
See, I have photos of people that compromising position. No. So Mr. Monarch, how it works is when you create something brand new, not a like a version of an existing character, but something brand new, like we did with GI Zombie, they give you what's called a creator deal, and in the creator deal, there's a clause in there that has reversion rights, meaning if they don't use the character, and a lot of the times they use the character over and over, and you never, but if they don't use the character over the certain amount of years in the contract, I have the right to ask for the rights back to it, and they also have the right to offer me some money and me take that deal, and they continue to have the rights. I have a great relationship with Warner Brothers. They're great people. They understand what I do, and I adore them. And I got to tell you, when GI Zombie came up, I was like, we want it back. We want to mess with it a little bit, and they were like, cool, So I play ball with them, and yeah, so that's how I was able to get GI Zombie back, and we'll probably do some more books in the future. I love the character. Justin and I put a lot of time in developing the character, so it's kind of fun that we get to touch on it again, and maybe in the future have some more adventures. But in the end, when you're a comic creator like me and you're getting older and you've done a ton of work that's not paying off, that just gives you a royalty here and there, but it's good to have your own IP at the end of the day. And listen, if anybody wants to use GI Zombie in their comic, they could just call me and say, hey, can I, what can I do to use the comic character? Same with Jane, same with any of that stuff. So
Cool.
in order to make a career in this business as a creator, there's down the line, you should probably co-own some characters, but that's how we got the rights back.
In beyond Jane and GI Zombie, there are other characters in the Paper Films universe. Didn't you have the Golem at DC, and didn't that revert back to you as well?
Yeah, we had Monolith. Yeah, it was called
Monolith.
Monolith.
Okay, man, I thought it was Monolith or Golem. I knew it was one of the two.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, we got Monolith back, and I did a thing called the Twilight Experiment, which we got back, and we also got back the Resistance, which was a book we did for Wildstorm in 2001.
Okay.
We got that back. 21 Down, I was able to get permission to collect it, and that was just, I don't own the rights to it, but DC was nice enough to let me do a Kickstarter to collect the book, so that was cool.
Cool.
We've made each other money over the years. I've definitely Harley definitely made some bucks for the company. So we have a good relationship, and I'm respectful to them, and they're respectful to me, and we've just been able to, once in a while I get something back. Not everything, because some of the stuff they want to keep, and
Sure,
that's fine. That's fine. That's their prerogative,
of course.
Um, I'd like to get back other characters with other companies. I've gotten all my stuff back from Dark Horse. I'd love to get something back from Aftershock. I'd like to get Super Zero back, but they're in the middle of bankruptcy type thing, so I have to wait. But eventually a company, if they're not doing something with it, will you put in a request, and the worst they can say is no, and the best they could say is, yeah, sure, here you go, kind of thing.
Well, you've always struck me as an easygoing guy, and I knew that you had great relationships with DC.
Yeah.
I know in the DiDio years, I mean, you really, kind of helped Dan really get himself situated at DC back in the day prior to him being executive editor. And I'm glad to hear that the new regime is still treating you well.
Yeah,
And,
the legal department, it's Warner Brothers legal, and there's the comic department. There's all these different departments. They're really good. They understand the creators, and they want you happy. Good. But like I said, if it's going to make them more money, then I get it. They want to hold on to it, and
sure.
Usually that means a little more money for me too. So either way, it all works. The good news with this is, down the line, if I kick the bucket, I can hand the character down to somebody else, and it's and they can go crazy with it.
Sure.
One day.
Jane, and it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned Tubi. I am all about Tubi, Pluto, Flex.
Yeah, man.
And I didn't know at first. My buddy is even, more in tune with what's going on with the free streamers, and they're called fast channels, and it's, free ad-supported television,
yes,
which is hilarious because we used to call it television back in the day.
But it is a lot less commercials, and it isn't it isn't censored. It's
absolutely.
I think Tubi, I love the idea of Tubi is they have this thing called Leaving Soon. And I always flip through it and go, what didn't I see? And I'm
sure.
like, okay, I'm gonna watch that because I'm not gonna. I love that they do that. I love that I can put an actor's name in, and every movie that he did pops up, or she did pops up. And I just watched the couple of Raymond Chandler,
the
Robert Mitchum movies,
from the 70s.
Yeah, man. I love I either missed them or I didn't remember them, and there's Candy Clark running around, and it's kind of fun. And I don't know if the new generations go back in time like we do. We have this thing where we go back and look at older movies because we miss them.
Absolutely.
Black and white, color doesn't matter to us, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I heard about this. Let me check this out. I try to do one of those every couple of days. I'll watch it in 2 parts. But the commercials are quick. They're like a couple of minutes, and actually I get up and get something to drink or whatever. But it's not like regular TV where it was every 15 minutes. I mean, you look at that TNT or any of those things, it's every 12 minutes. There's like another 10 minutes of commercials.
You're absolutely right.
I completely cut the cord on all the stations because I'm like, you know what? I don't have a million years to live watching these commercials, and I don't really need all that medicine, whatever the medicine of the weekend is, yeah, it's just exhausting, and time is precious.
I'm so with you, Jim. And also, I wondered, mentioning these channels like Tubi and Pluto and that, you had a season of Painkiller Jane on the Sci-Fi Channel. Is it streaming anywhere?
It is, but I don't get a dime from it, so I don't know.
Sorry, Jim.
It's streaming. It's always streaming somewhere. Like I'll have a random person write me, "Hey, is there going to be any more?" And I'm just like, "Oh, that was 20 years ago." And we did 22 episodes. I would love to do more, but but it's always streaming somewhere in the world.
Okay, no, I get it. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I've worked on that I think Random Acts of Violence is still on Shudder, so that's on there, and but I don't watch them, so.
Well, do you have a piece of Random Acts of Violence as far as the movie goes? Do you get any royalties from the movie?
That. I don't think I get a dime from it, but I do like that it exists. I got paid.
Yeah.
I got paid. Jay Baruchel did a great job, and he was really sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got paid to do it. As far as money, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you, people, just because somebody makes a movie out of you, think you don't always make money. You can't. There's like 3 or 4 people in this industry that made money from stuff. The rest of us are like nickel and dime stuff. We're just happy it exists sometimes.
Sure. Well, it's
Um,
a nice calling card for Jane, and
yeah,
the various things that do make it to movies or TV. So that's good. Now here I'm going to go back to the. Forgive me, Jim. I only have the one image,
it's
but
okay.
it's good because it's a good advertising for the Kickstarter itself. And again, everybody, there's a week left. But GI Zombie in plain clothes, and Jane in a hot outfit and everything.
That's
So
her
yeah,
Power Girl win. She has a Power Girl window.
she does that. Yes, for the people listening rather than watching, she absolutely has a Power Girl window, which is fantastic.
Because Moritat draws her like she's a D cup plus. She's only she's like a B plus, but that's the way he sees it. Every
Mor-
artist sees the character different.
Moritat obviously praying to the altar of Wally Wood when it comes to the breast window.
You learn a lot about an artist when you see their artwork, for sure.
Giffen told me great story. God bless Giffen, but we miss him.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I talked to him about because he was inking Woody on Power Girl and stuff, and he's like, every time DC complained that her breasts were too big, Wally would make them bigger, and that's fantastic. And also, and I think you and I talked about it before. His Wood's great R-rated comic that he did for the military magazines that was collected in the last like 10 years or so. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have originals of his from the Sally Forth.
Oh, Sally Forth, sure.
Yeah, I have a couple of originals.
Cool.
From somebody on the internet was telling me, that Wally Wood story is not true about Power Girl, and I'm like, it's true. I said, it's actually true. I said, I don't know how many times people tell me, that's not true. And I'm like, I need you to prove it's not true, because I've heard it from the people talking about it.
Yeah.
So you go prove to me that it's not true. Because I have these, people like, they always think they know everything. And they hit me. Yeah. The people who tell me how to run Kickstarters is the same people. And they always tell me, that's not true. And I'm like, no, I actually know that it actually is true. And I don't know what you heard, but
I hear you, man. No, it reminds me of some podcasts that they it's that line from Liberty Valance, when you got the facts and you got the legend, print the legend. And a lot of people know the old wives' tales and think they know everything. I mean, and my favorite thing is, and I was disappointed. I don't know if because again, you were younger, and you guys you and Joe with Event Comics and stuff. You guys kind of, if forgive me if I'm wrong, broke in the 90s. I don't know if you ever had a Vinnie Coletta encounter. And I used to go, there's more to the story than him erasing Jack Kirby lines to get a Thor comic in on deadline. But then I talked to Dennis Cowan, and he told me a really sad story about Vinnie, that he treated him like shit, frankly, and, was, not cool with him and everything. And I'm glad that Dennis told me the story. But yeah, I don't know if you ever had any experiences with Vinnie.
I never met him. I didn't. Dennis Cowan, of course, I did. But no, Vince Collette, I never met him. I just knew when I saw him inking, I didn't like how Kirby looked. Right.
Okay.
As a kid, Joe Sinnott to me made it look like and even Chick did a decent job on it.
Chick Stone, sure.
Yeah, but I didn't like. When Vince Collette drew his romance stuff, I thought it looked great, and that's what I remember him. But when I started hearing he's erasing stuff and he like story stuff, like one character from one panel to the next, that is something you don't do. But I'm gonna blame the people that were his editors before. They let him get away with that stuff, and so then they supported Bad Habits, and he became the guy that could do a book in 2 days. But my thing is, at what price? I'm guilty of having to do books in a day or two when I worked at Marvel, but I never erased anybody's pencils. If anything, I would add more stuff, but that's the past. Whatever.
Oh, sure.
It's people either like them, they don't like them. Somebody gave me shit because I said a negative thing about Coletta, and I'm just like, hey man, I was just not a fan of his work. So sorry, I don't know him. I'm sure if I knew him, it would be a different story. I'd have a different attitude on it. But if I say I don't like a movie, it doesn't mean I hate everybody that worked in the movie. It just didn't connect with me. And with Vince's stuff, it just never connected with me. It always looked, it didn't look confident. It looked like he was trying to find the line, you know.
Interesting.
And especially when he did Thor, and it'd be like 35 lines of, and then I'd look at the pencil and it was so defined, easily defined. And I was like, yeah, you know, but look, I got spoiled. I mean, I like Fazetta, I like Al Williamson, I like Klaus Janson. You know, those were guys, Joe Sinnott, those were guys that went above and beyond to bring extra into the page to ink it, you know, and that's what an inker, it enhances. It doesn't take it apart, and it doesn't an inker doesn't erase. So as far as but I think, you know, my blame goes to the editors who let them get away with it. Somebody should have said, hey, where the hell is that figure? Go back in there and ink that, put that back in. You don't get to erase this artist's background, guys, or you don't get to erase these buildings. There's times when he put boxes for buildings when Jack Kirby drew all these intricate buildings, and I'm like, imagine Jack saw that, because he was so busy he never looked at the finished books. Imagine he saw that, you know, even if he was a friend, he would have had a nice meeting over a beer and said, hey man, don't erase my shit, you know.
I'm hip. Yeah.
But nobody does that now.
Right.
And as far as deadlines, you know, history doesn't remember deadlines. History only remembers the work.
To the finished product, sure. Absolutely, man. Zach has a good question. He's doing my homework for me. How'd you end up with the Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn book? And is that going to be a long run? There you go. I'm going to zoom in, Jim. Hold on.
All right.
Boom.
It's this is by Chad Hardin, the cover. Chad did 2 issues. He did 4 and 5.
Oh, that's great, man. You're your old Harley collaborator.
It's beautiful stuff too.
Yeah.
So I was in New York Comic Con and you know, manning my table, and Thomas Healy came up to me. He's one of Todd's editors, and he just said, would you ever be interested in working with Todd? And I said, absolutely. I said, he's a buddy. I've known Todd for many years. And they said, we're thinking of doing the Deadly Tales of Gunslinger, but in the past, you know, it's like before Todd's book. So I'm like, okay. And I did my homework. I picked up all of the books and read them. And I said, okay, so in order for me to do this, I need to write a Bible for the character. So I wrote a 28-page, 32-page, I don't know what it is, a big Bible for the character. And then I had a meeting with Todd, and Todd's like, look, I need you to do this and stay on this book for a while. Can you stay on a book for a while? And I said, well, I did over 100 issues of Jonah Hex. I did over 125 at Harley. And he's like, okay. And I said, he's like, I need you to stay on this for years, not to do it for 6 months and bail, not to do it for 8 months and bail. I need you to really dig in and create this universe in the past. And I don't want to switch writers midway through, because I need a team, a steady writer on it. So I'm like, well, I'm your guy. If you're gonna give me the room to breathe and to work with the character, I'm totally in. And that's how I got the gig. Todd wanted continuity in his characters. He doesn't like when, you know, jump artist, writer to writer to writer to writer. And I get it. I get it. I'm a comic fan. I want the team I like on a book for a long time. I don't want them to do 5 issues and then blow out of there. They made their money and they're gone. So I'm already, you know, I'm on 13 right now. I think 5 just came out. To answer Zach's question, I will be on it for as long as it sells. So if it stops selling, then sure, I won't be on it. But it's doing very well right now. And it's just full steam ahead as far as working on the book.
Give me the background on Gunslinger Spawn. I'll be honest, I haven't picked it up yet. And
so I give you the basic stuff, because some of it is revealing some of the story I'm working on.
Totally.
It's basically the Gunslinger Spawn is like a character that's in modern day in Todd's book. He's a guy that came from the past and now he's in modern day trying to get his grips on the world around him in the Spawn universe. My book is when he first turns into the gunslinger in the Old West after the Civil War. And he's trying to discover who he is. He's just, why did this happen to me? Why do I have this uniform? What the hell is going on? Why are crazy hookers after me? Why are gunslingers going after me? Like, what is this world I'm in? At the same time, he's trying to find. He was separated from his sister when he was younger, so he's been trying to find his sister. But our character has a really big piece of history before we even see him, as far as getting separated from his family, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And my book is sort of like, if you've never read The Gunslinger, you can pick up issue 1 through 5 right now, and you're there. You don't have to worry about what Todd's doing so much. You don't have to worry about the past. I kind of explain everything from the ground up.
That's great.
And it's set in a real world. So with Todd said, he said, with your book, I want to keep it grounded. So I don't have a lot of monsters and crazy stuff. It's very much, if you like my Jonah Hex, it's kind of close to that.
Sure.
But it does have some fantastic elements because it is in the Spawn universe. But I tend to play those down a little bit, you know. We already know Todd is doing that great in his book, and I feel like I have to represent differently in this title. So it's a slow burn for this book, but it's a fun burn. Like again, this is another book where the best part of the trip is the trip, meaning we find out things as the main character finds it out, and you know, for all the people that read Todd's book, there's some stuff they know about already, but it doesn't matter if you're reading my title. It only enhances it if you read Todd's, but it also doesn't confuse you. You're not going to be lost. And my whole thing is I'm writing this book for people who may never have read a Gunslinger title, so I'm writing it so they could jump on from issue 1.
Man, it sounds great. Is it broken up into arcs? Is 5 issues and then that'll be the trade? Or are they like Jonah, where you were doing done in ones or 2 issues or whatever?
So, you know, I know I had Chad for 2 issues, so 4 and 5 are a contained story.
Cool.
But after that, it's back to Patrick Reynolds, and that just keeps continuing.
Okay.
I am not worrying about the trades. That's for the publisher to worry about. I'm telling the story in the time that I need to tell it, and sometimes it's 4 issues, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 18, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not worrying about that. I feel like that sort of like debilitates the story if you're going to worry about trades. They're going to make the trade no matter what. You know, of course you want to end it on trade on something that's not a cliffhanger. But this is sort of like this book, I would say, is if you hung out with the Gunslinger every day and you were watching what he's going through. It's not like a thing where he's solving a crime. This is more of a what's being thrown at in his way, and he's trying to decipher it while trying to figure out who he is.
Cool. Sounds interesting,
sense.
man. Yeah, no, it sounds good. I'm gonna have to go back through my image archive.
Patrick Reynolds. Show you some of his art. Patrick is amazing. You know, it's kind of cool. It's very grounded artwork. Let me show you. You know, it's where the other books are very dynamic and you know, ours it's very realistic, real world.
God, that's gorgeous, man.
You know, and when we look at you know, and Todd's book, I love it because it's pure energy.
Okay.
But this is definitely set where in a world where he might be the strangest thing you see, you know. So it's a book about discovery. So yeah, man, I'm having a blast doing it, you know.
That's great.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Zach's loving it, which is
and
cool.
thank you, Dennis. I saw Dennis Hoffman pop in.
I was gonna say, Dennis said, yeah, this book looks like a blast. Also, Tales of Gunslinger has been great. Patrick is incredible. So I assume he's also talking about Jane and G.I. Zombie as well when he says it looks like a blast.
Patrick Reynolds is the regular monthly artist. We lost him for 2 issues. He needed a gap to do another project. Sure. I hated losing him for 2 issues. I got to be honest with you, because there's like a continuity with art that I like. So he's not allowed to do that again. I'm going to track him down if he does that again.
But I'm glad, hey man, again, you've always done great work with Chad, so that's cool.
Yeah,
And I know
no.
you got your guys and your women.
Adore Chad. My rule is always work with Chad.
Cool.
Yeah. So
That's
we're
cool.
working on another project together. So
Fantastic. In general, I was going to ask eventually, how's Amanda doing?
she's doing great. She's upstairs working on. She's just finished up a cover for Harley Elvira #2.
Oh, great.
She's also doing pages in the book. So we have another artist doing it. They didn't announce them yet, but Amanda is doing like dream sequences and weird one-offs in each book. So there is some art in there from Amanda, and it's interesting because we're dealing with DC Comics and Dynamite, and also Cassandra Peterson. She's looking at our lines, saying make it a little raunchier and make it a little crazier. And,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's just it's a lot of notes from everybody. So
well, that's true. That's true.
But we'll get through it. We're on issue. I'm on writing issue 3 right now. I think the first one comes out in July. I'm pretty sure.
And forgive me. So is it a Elvira crossover with a DC character? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, it's Elvira Harley Quinn.
Oh, of course. Well, there's a natural combination. That's
no,
cool.
there it's as Amanda said, it's like we look at Harley Quinn like Bugs Bunny, like classic Bugs Bunny. She's like a troublemaker that kind of stirs everything and then walks away. And Elvira, if and this is all Amanda's observations, Elvira is sort of like a dirtier Groucho Marx. If that makes sense to you.
It does. I get it. That's
where Groucho always had a reply, always had a
sure.
That's how she is, but a little more in the sexy side.
Fantastic, man. God, I don't know if you saw it on Instagram, but Cassandra, after poor Richard Chamberlain passed away, although 90, good run, man. No one's going to complain if you make 90.
Yeah,
but fantastic picture of her just as Cassandra with Chamberlain. And I don't know if it was a movie that he was on or whatever, but he was fully decked in like Navy dress uniform,
right?
Like Captain Stubing hat and just the dress whites. And they both look fantastic. It was really cool to see. And I don't know what year it was done. It looked like it might have been a few years ago, but
she's a cool character, and
that's fantastic.
It's interesting to write for her, and I kind of humor is not a hard thing for Amanda and I to write. Like, we like writing humor. It's not for everybody,
sure,
but we enjoy doing it, and we try to make each other laugh when we're writing it. And I think that's where it comes from. It's like I try to make her laugh. She tries to one up it with me, and then that kind of like that joy goes onto the page. And I think that's why Harley was such a big hit when we worked on Harley, because it literally was Amanda and I trying to make each other laugh all the time, and we pulled the audience in with us for the ride. And I think that's what this is a 6-issue series from DC and Dynamite, so it's definitely something different. The fun with that is, you never know what to expect.
That's cool. It starts in July.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to probably see you guys at Terrificon, so maybe prior to Terrificon, we should get together and talk about that crossover and stuff.
Yeah,
well, Jim, if you wanted to come on every week, you're one of my guys in terms of, and again, I know how busy you guys are and everything, and I love that.
I hope, I try to go on when I have something to promote,
sure.
So it makes sense. This week it's the Kickstarter, obviously,
100%.
and all these comics, so we got.
What do you got, Jim? Hold on.
Pop Kill.
Yeah, Jim, I love that book. That's fantastic, man. And what else you got? And Gunslinger, of course. Yeah. I
mean, it's another cover by Dave Johnson. He made soda hand grenades. Dave is a brilliant man. Pop Kill is from Man Cave. Issue 2 just came out this past week. We never expected it to do the numbers it did. It actually we did well with the Kickstarters when we did it.
Well, I was going to ask, yeah.
But these are these are the books that we did for the Kickstarters with new covers, because the Kickstarter covers stay through the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But we did over 55,000 on the first issue.
Fantastic.
Which is a monster number.
100% it is, man.
It's a monster, and we didn't have 48 covers like some other companies had. We had 4. There's a couple of books out now that people are bragging with the numbers, and I'm just like, look, when you have 48 covers, no bragging. Don't brag.
I get it, man. No, I've never been a variant cover guy, and I respect. I mean, when I see the art, it's beautiful. But
we did two. Like
that's cool.
Issue 2 has 2. This is Dave John. This is Mark Giorello.
Oh, I love. I got to get him on the show, man.
Yeah,
I just had another person that loves him, and I'm like, yeah,
and
I
this
gotta
is
get Mark on the show.
Dave's. Yeah, and we have we have issue 3 has one of the most gorgeous. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that. Issue 3 has one of the most gorgeous Adam Hughes cover I've seen. And issue 4 has a special cover that I don't know if they announced this, so I don't know if I could say it, but I will say there's a chance issue 4 might sell more than issue 1.
Okay. Wow.
Because of the person that they got to do this cover in the way that they're doing it. That's all I want to say is that the guys at Mad Cave are, it's interesting what they're doing. But it's been great so far. We're happy with what they did. The books look great. The printing, I'm a stickler for all that stuff. So everything looks the way I wanted it. And they've been promoting it pretty well. So we're really happy with working with them.
Well, all of us that live in the American economy are on the roller coaster ride with the tariffs. And I just had Bendis, Oming, and Taki Soma on talking about potentially how the Chinese tariffs might fuck up, graphic novels and really a lot of printing stuff. And I do realize, even Canada, I don't even know where Mad Cave prints their books or some of the other books. But yeah, Jim, as somebody that puts out his own creator-owned stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I print in Florida, right? Like 2 hours south of here, right? I print it.
Sure.
But they buy the paper, and the inks. People like, oh, well, you're using a Florida printer, you don't have to worry. And I'm like, no. They have to get their paper from somewhere. This tariff game is the stress we never imagined we would have to deal with, and now we're dealing with it. It wasn't there. We don't need to deal with this. I think everybody forgot what it is to have a conversation and do business with somebody and not threaten. But, at the same time, I'm not a money guy. I don't understand a lot of things. I don't understand why a lot of things I do. All I know is every time a transfer is on, a tariff is put on and then canceled and put on again, it is basically a transfer of wealth for rich people.
You got
they literally know to buy, and the transfer of wealth is not coming from other rich people, by the way. It's coming from all of us.
Absolutely. As far as who pays,
there's no way they don't know what's happening, and they're just going in and buying tons of low stock, and then the tariff is off now, and I'm just like, so how much stuff was bought up? And we don't know because none of that's controlled. That's none of that controlled and all that stuff.
Right.
But I do know that we're all losing. Regular people are losing out on this. Not the rich people. It doesn't hurt the rich people. I don't believe all the stuff you say. It's all a transfer of wealth. I know I sound like a propaganda guy, but honestly, if you're a billionaire, that's exactly how you make money. So, but yeah, Zach is mentioning that the paper products are exempt from tariffs for now. Who knows? Here's what I do know. Okay, here's what I do know. We get screwed every time because prices go up and then prices never come down. In our lifetime, they don't go down. Gas, sure. Milk, sure. But let's be honest. Everything else, what happened during COVID? Our price went up, stayed up. And guess what? Every package got smaller.
Right.
Every cereal box went from 16 ounces to 13.
You're right.
Same price. All right, great, but it's less cereal.
Yeah.
We get screwed. The regular guy gets screwed every time. No matter what goes on in the next 6 months, we're all going to be paying more for stuff. It doesn't matter because corporations jump in and say, well, we have to raise our prices now. And they never lower it. Nobody ever says, hey, guess what? The Drake's company, which by the way, all these companies are owned by 3 companies. Let's be honest. They never lower the prices. What they do is they'll have a sale. They put the illusion of it, but I bet we've been around long enough. We know nothing goes down in price.
You're right.
The only thing that goes down is what our dollar is worth.
Amen, son. Sad,
You know?
sad but true.
Yeah. Enough politics.
I know, man. And forgive us, everybody, in terms of that. We'll get back to
I'm not picking on sides. This happens to all of us. We're all screwed.
Jim, you're absolutely right, man. And that's what I'm trying to say. It isn't blue versus red. It's the working class getting screwed.
Of course, it's rich versus poor. It's always rich versus poor. The rich are really good at separating us and making us fight with each other, but it's always rich versus poor.
Somebody made the comparison, and they're right, to the Trading Places movie, where you sell high and you buy when it's short. Yeah. Absolutely, man. No, I get it. Dennis, getting back to Jane, and just in general, wants to know if there's any chance you and Casado will work together again.
So Joe's now Amazing Comics is Joe's next thing, and he's heavy into that. He announced the Black Panther book he's doing, the Marvel Knights book that he's doing. There'll be some more information coming for some stuff from there. I can't say a thing yet. But Joe and I talked, like we hung out 2 weeks ago for a couple of days. We hung out and we talk about stuff. We both have like we're both like running parallel roads in our careers. We're each doing our own thing.
Yeah.
It was nice. I had somebody I was at South Carolina Comic-Con, which is a fantastic show.
Okay.
And I had somebody bring me this pencil Daredevil piece that he asked me to ink, and I did it while I was sitting at the booth, and it was so easy. And the guy said to me, he goes, yeah, it's so much life to it. And I'm like, yeah, it's how I ink Joe. It's kind of like more brush and bouncier and less technical kind of thing.
Okay.
So, you never know. I mean, we definitely talk, and we definitely talk about Ash all the time. And, but he has Amazing Comics is like a monster of a project coming. So,
sure.
And I'm not doing anything for that.
Okay.
Joe's got his whole crew of people.
Okay.
But you never know. We're always talking. We're always, we look back on things like nostalgia, but we're both guys that we don't look back too often.
I get it.
Yeah. So, I understand where fans want that all the time, but we're always trying to figure out the next thing. And I think that's a creator's life, is to, when you look back, it's almost like, I don't think I'm ready to sit in the chair and rock yet, and look back on my career. I'm just not there yet. I got too much stuff going on. And John, this more than anybody. It's an art form to keep to be, as a creator, to keep yourself in the spotlight for years and years and years. Like, it's work.
Yes.
It's just not your work. It's actually work. And to be on things, like, I like to look at my career as like it's a giant roller coaster, right? It's a giant. We got Harley, blah blah blah. We got Power Girl, blah, 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 blah. We got some other stuff. I'm doing Kickstarters, and so to stay topical and to stay on in this career, you have to. It's more than just doing the work. You have to be out there. I'm social media. I engage with people at cons. Of course, I'm 100% present with everybody that comes up to the booth. It is a full-time job on and off the board. If it was just typing things, just coming up with stories, that's one thing. But to make a career out of things, you have to be out there, like doing a show like this.
100% cons, absolutely, conventions, everything, man.
There are amazing talents that nobody knows because they just don't put themselves out there.
Yes.
And it's not for everybody.
You've got to have that part marketer inside of you beyond the talent that you're able to put on paper. And really, Jim, I mean, I always say too, I wish I had more sales savvy, because I really was just programming and broadcasting and everything for 40 years, So
I look at guys like I look at like Todd McFarlane and Brian Pulido. Hey, World at War Comics, love you guys. I look at those guys, and they're very business oriented. They've created empires. I've never wanted to create an empire. I've always wanted to keep it. I turned down jobs because these jobs were managing other people. I always wanted to just do what I wanted to do, and I
Okay.
knew a lot of the choices I made were about maybe just just focusing on my work and not on other people's stuff. And that's the career I wanted. So this is what I do. I work on my own stuff. If I wanted an empire, I would have done things a little differently. And I had the opportunities to do it. But again, for me, it's like I don't want to be a person that works behind the scenes. I feel like I was created to actually write and create. So I should be doing what I'm doing.
I get it. And also evolving and not just playing the greatest hits, but coming
Right.
up with fresh ideas. No, I get it, man. Now, Zach has a question about Marvel Knights, but I actually want to take
Okay.
it further back. And he
Okay.
says, I know I've mentioned it to you a few times, but I think an oral history or documentary of Marvel Knights is a story that would be amazing to hear and tell. You guys changed Marvel. I absolutely agree. But I want to go back to Event. And by all
Sure.
means, if you want, let's acknowledge what Zach is saying and everything. Because
Yeah.
you and I have had the Marvel Knights conversation a few times that you've been on. Same with Joe.
Yeah.
Again, he's absolutely right. You guys really shook the rafters in Marvel and got people excited, coming off a very down period for Marvel.
Yeah, I'm laughing because the new Thunderbolts movie, right? That's like it has Yelena, which came out of Marvel Knights, and there's another character I think in the movie. I haven't seen the movie, so
yeah.
but I think there's another Marvel Knights character coming out of it.
And Sentry certainly is coming out
Okay,
of it.
Sentry. That's who I was. I didn't know if it was I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
no. It's funny. We get, and maybe I'm sure other people are hip to this more than I am.
Right.
But we get the American trailers. But apparently, and it's on YouTube, there is a Marvel trailer that is running in India that absolutely puts out that the Sentry is there.
Okay, so because of those characters, I'm invited to the premiere in LA, right?
Sure.
Are
you gonna go?
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
absolutely, man.
They're always fun.
I hope Paul shows up too.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
It's out of my control. I'm just happy to be included.
Sure.
But in Marvel Knights, we walked in a time where things were chaos. A lot has come out of the amount of books we've done. A lot of multimedia things have come out of that. I'm not always thanked for them. Lately, they're thanking me for all of them. But in the beginning, there was a couple of shows that they didn't. I was like, "Wait, you put the Marvel Knights logo on it, but you didn't give me a thank you." I was like, but they've actually, been really on the ball lately. So I'm really happy with Marvel these days. And it's just it's just fun to see, and it's nice to be part of that history. If anybody can remember before Marvel actually had movies, right? It's nice to be part of the it's not like Joe and I did it alone, right? We did it with a group of people.
Absolutely, man.
But we definitely push the characters towards a film type grab, and these things happened during our time there, and I'm proud of all that. So,
are you watching Daredevil, the new season?
I haven't watched the last week's one, so I don't know. Somebody,
neither of the one. I don't know.
Somebody asked me a question. I'm like, I just got home from a convention, so I haven't gotten to it yet.
I haven't watched this week's yet either, man. There's only 2 left of the 9 that they're showing now,
right?
And I know there's a back 9 that they'll come back to when.
No, we saw the Echo. We went to the Echo premiere. It was me and Joe and David Mack went to that premiere in LA, and we got to see the cast and everything. It was fun, It's a fun thing.
No, I'm relieved because I was concerned, as we were saying earlier, about just in general how some of the studios get a little worried about R and stuff like that. And the Netflix 3 seasons were so great of Daredevil.
Yeah,
it feels like this is a continuation of that, and I'm relieved because I also understand Disney's a brand, and I see the people that are like, "Well, this is Disney. That's very violent or that's very sexy," and it's like. I agree. There used to be a partition, and they put the harder stuff on Hulu.
Right.
Who knows what decisions are in there? But I am relieved that Born Again.
Hulu was a good purchase for them.
Yeah,
definitely a good purchase for them.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely, man. No, it's weird because also that was kind of the place for ABC and Fox after they'd run on the networks, and then of course Disney absorbs Fox,
Right.
and you know, obviously ABC is part of them as well. So yeah,
Right.
so it's a weird mix. But I wanted to ask about event comics and going back
Sure.
to Jane and
Okay.
Ash and stuff like that. First of all, did Marvel Knights see? Is that what they saw? I know that Joe and
Yeah.
you
So
did
yeah.
earlier stuff, but you know,
Yeah.
for the
So
companies,
when we did Event Comics, we worked hard to get publicity. We worked with Wizard Magazine to get press and everything. And when Marvel was having difficulty, Gareb Shamus went up and talked to Joe Calamari and said, "Look what these two idiots are able to do with their stupid characters. They're able to get on the cover of our magazine. They're doing contests. They're at conventions with big lines. Like maybe give these two guys a shot." But they saw we were doing well with Event Comics. Event Comics was a company where Joe and I literally put like 25 grand in each, you
wow,
know, and
wow,
that was, and we said, okay, we're gonna make comics now, and with Ash, we were halfway through the book, and then DreamWorks purchased the character, and then with Jane, we got a year or two in, and all of a sudden, we had a sci-fi 2-hour movie, and then they decided they also wanted to go to series, so we did a 22 1-hour episode series.
yeah,
So that went on at the same time. So all of a sudden, like everything we did was like getting all this attention. Again, like I say, the roller coaster career, right? You never know where things are going to go. Ash, unfortunately, was never made, but Painkiller Jade was made twice already, and
yeah.
probably a third time soon. And these are just things that now you live long enough. Jane is an easy purchase for a studio because the name is out there already, but there's no really hardcore. Nobody's going, it's not like the old Jade. It has name recognition that has power in movies right now. That's
I
why
get
there's
it.
John Wick 5, by the way. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, you know, um, but Event Comics was just basically Joe and I going, okay, what do we want to do? Let's Fireman Superhero was something we just came up with, and then I wanted to do Jane because I wanted to do a female cop, because I knew a female cop, and um, I wanted to do that and we have a male and female character.
yeah.
And then then things took off. It was a crazy ride for Joe and I. I mean, and then into Marvel Knights, and then having the penthouse and Marvel Comic. It was all craziness. Thank God there were no camera phones back then. We might have had a great documentary, like Zach was saying, because we would have had a ton of footage. But there's not a ton of photos, other than a
Really?
contest. We just never sat around and took photos of each other. It was not something we can't. We did some TV shows, we did some morning shows and stuff like that. We had Kevin out there selling it, um, but we weren't documenting. We were too busy working, And the
I get
books
it.
are the books are the proof of that, right? The first 2 years of Marvel Knights, a lot of books.
You gotta
You know,
talk to Abenati and Alex Ross with their Kingdom Come documentary, or
yeah,
Demonakis and what he did for Mignola and everything.
yeah. The Kingdom Come one, Amanda's on that one.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah. So am I, man.
Yeah, so yeah, great, yeah, man. I think I said a lot, but Amanda's better to look at. I mean, let's be
Oh,
honest.
come
So,
on. Absolutely. Good Lord.
I
Absolutely.
have plenty of Alex stories, but yeah, I mean, one day somebody will do a Marvel Knights thing, and hopefully Joe and I will still be alive to kind of mix up all the details. Because as it goes further and further away, it does feel like another lifetime.
What was it? I mean, Jimmy, not to age us, but it was a long time ago, man.
No, it was look, Marvel Knights a long time ago. Look, for me, my career went from inking to producing to editing
Editing. Yeah.
to just writing, and I feel like I've had 9 careers already, and I started late. I started at 30 years old, in comics. I started late.
What were you doing before that?
I was at advertising. I was an art director in an advertising
Okay.
company.
Sure. Like
We
Alex
had
was. Yeah.
we had Pepsi Cola and Maybelline as clients.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yeah. But I didn't start till I was 30, and it was probably the smartest thing I did because I learned a lot of responsibilities with my advertising end. But I still feel like I got a lot of stuff coming and things to do, and I get excited about new stuff, and it's just I do love comics, so that's all I'm going to be doing.
Well, and truly, man, I've always given it up to you. And when people tell me, yeah, I'm getting into Kickstarter, I'm literally immediately, I'm like, would you talk to somebody like Jimmy that, really gets the whole Kickstarter way of doing things? And everything? Let me
Yeah.
ask you, Jim, because I know you lean on Kickstarter. Have you looked at like GoFundMe and some of these other, I know Zoop is out there as well. And do you do any sort of comparison as far as the crowdfunding platforms that are
Yeah, I
there?
mean, I look at Zoop. I look at companies like Zoop, and I look at the other things, and I see the things that need to be worked on, and I see the why it's not right for me. Even Kickstarter, needs to up their game a little bit, because I shouldn't be paying a third party to email everybody that backdoor my Kickstarters. Like they still have stuff that needs to be done. Which me and Patrick remind them every time we call them. We tell them, you guys, you're leaving money on the table. But I think eventually I'd love it where I'm just selling my stuff on my own website. I won't need that. But people love Kickstarter. They love the idea of it. You know they get to watch it live, right? Hit the numbers and stuff.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
would much prefer to do it on paper films, because I don't want to give away 5-10% of this money. But until then, I'll still be doing Kickstarters. They're great to me, and I've helped so many people do theirs. I just feel like, okay, I've done 25, I think, so far already. So yeah, between
Great, man.
it's like under my name, and then there's the paper films ones, but they're all the
Certainly.
same. They're all the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. I just I'm constantly looking for the next thing, the next way to do things. It's getting harder. Like the Kickstarters are now tougher because mainstream guys are doing Kickstarters, and
Publishers are doing Kickstarters. You're absolutely
yeah, and
right.
the problem with that, so okay, it gets the platform more views, but the other thing is it takes money away from the independent guys, because they're gonna back GI Joe for $300 for these giant books. They don't have enough. I had people cancel in the last week telling me they don't have enough for $30 book, and I'm just like, can you buy the digital? And they're like, I don't like digital. And I'm like, okay, well, think of it as supporting me. But
Yeah.
it's like I get this all the time. They're like, oh, I spent a lot on that one and I can't. Or the other one is, I got screwed on the Kickstarter I did last time. And I always tell people, the other thing I ask Kickstarter, can we do a rating
That's a
for
great idea.
for us? Because I
Yes,
know mine would be 4 stars, but I
100%,
know
Jim.
other ones would be 1 or 2 stars,
Abs-
right?
yeah, I've heard the
Um,
stories as well, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's to my advantage. But I'm always looking for the next interesting thing. I have some meetings already for San Diego to talk to some publishers about stuff. It's a never ending thing. I think I'm always hungry because I don't make much money. So I think I'm always hungry because I'm constantly hustling. I think the hustle is the part of the job that I like. But boy, oh boy, would I love to have a winning lottery ticket.
I
That would
respect.
that we played it last night. No such luck. I got 1 number on 4 games. I'm like, what?
Come on, man. You got to listen to guys like Dean Martin. The percentage is with the house. Don't bet the money.
Oh no, I know. We do it as like a goof once in a
I'm
while.
hip. Yeah, I'm hip.
It is
But
not
yeah.
a weekly thing. Trust me. It's probably like every 3 months we'll play one
Okay.
ticket.
All right. Well, that's all right. That's
It's just it gives you a pipe dream for like 20 minutes while you're eating dinner. Like, what if we won $100 million?
sure. No,
And
I
I always
understand.
say my friends are gonna have a good time if that happens.
And C, I really love the smaller projects. Any stories about? And this was a great run. Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. Love those books.
Yeah, I have one regret with those books is when we worked on I think the second to the last series, we had Uncle Sam get killed, right? And
Okay.
his soul went into a black soldier, right?
Okay. Interesting.
So the new Uncle Sam was this black soldier that was overseas, right?
Okay.
And the editor told us that the editor said, "There's no way, you can't do it."
Interesting.
And we were so bummed because we want to do the Uncle Sam poster with the black soul.
Sure.
We were so bummed.
Wow.
And I didn't get to talk to Dan. I just was like, okay, they don't want to do it. I don't know why. I think it's a bad choice.
Yeah.
And then I found out later, when I told Dan said, "Oh, that's an awesome idea. Go for it." And I said, "No, you told me I couldn't do it." And I found out it was the editor that didn't want to do it, and they lied and said it was Dan.
God damn it. That's ridiculous.
And
Jimmy,
so
I'm sorry, man.
I never worked with that editor again, but that was the one thing I regret, because we had the greatest story set up. For this black soldier was going to be the new Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. And we had this, this is like 15 years ago, right? It's like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were so bummed. And we caught the editor in a lie. The editor just didn't want it to happen, right? So it was their choice. Not naming names or anything.
No. I get it.
But that kind of thing broke my heart with that series, because I love those characters. If DC said, hey, you want to do Painkiller Jane, Freedom Fighters, Uncle Sam and Freedom, I would do it in a heartbeat, because it would be the craziest comic book you've ever read, but they never sold. Like, we did 3 series and they never sold. We even did separate series for Phantom Lady and for Human Bomb. Jerry Ordway drew the most beautiful Human Bomb book I've ever seen.
Wow.
And they just never sell that much. They're always like secondary characters. No matter what we did, and we did some fun stuff, it just never hit the audience right. And I think that's a case where I think that they should be these great one-shots, like 64-page books, and then you charge a lot more money for them. That's all. And you just make your money in one shot. I love the characters. That it was so much fun writing. It was so funny because people look back and go, those books are really political. And I always laugh. I'm like, it is Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. I mean, that's the name of the book. It's not like it's Tony and the pizza guys. You know what I mean? It's the basis of these characters is about our Constitution and all that kind of stuff. Those little DC books they do now, what do they call them? The
the $10 reprints of the collections and stuff.
I'm hoping they do Freedom Fighters in there. I'm hoping they do Jonah Hex in there. I'm hoping we get some small books that they're gonna have to run out of things to do. So I'm hoping that they take a couple of my things. I'd love if they put Power Girl in one of those things, all 12 issues, it's actually 14 or 15 issues total. I think that would do really well, but I'm not in the collected editions department of DC. So,
well, the likelihood is, should Power Girl wind up in one of these James Gunn projects, that's when it's going to come back. I look at that Peacekeeper. Peacemaker. I always say it wrong.
Peacemaker, yeah.
It is Peacemaker. Kupperberg always is like, you always get it wrong. I'm like, I do always get it wrong, because there's the movie.
It's a tremendous show. It's a great show.
Yeah. And they brought back all that stuff they were doing in the 80s with that stuff. And that was sitting around.
All they got to do is read the 12 issues of Power Girl we did, and everything's right there. You literally, if you wanted to make a Power Girl movie, I'd say just read those 12 issues. It's all there. It's who she is, where she lives, what she does, how she interacts with the world without having to involve Superman, Batman, and all those guys. It's all about her.
As long as Vartox shows up again.
Well, Vartox is, he's key, right? Because he's. We don't have Connery around in that Zardoz underwear, but
Absolutely, man. I'm sure you were. Well, maybe because you're a little younger than me. I was reading that stuff in the 70s that they were doing with Vartox and Lana.
Oh yeah, the Kurt Swan cover. Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Oh, here another question here. Can I? Ange wants to know. Can I ask about one more small project? Claws with Joe Linzer. Love them too. Claws was great. Tell people what Claws was, because I absolutely remember it.
So Black Claws was a Black Cat Wolverine 3-issue miniseries. We did 2 sets of them, 3 or 4 issues each, and then they collected them into 2 trades, and then they collected them into 1 book. And yes, Joe Linzer and I would do another Claw series if Marvel wanted. They're all done like, separate stories from continuity.
Yeah.
It's basically Wolverine and Black Cat flirting and getting into crazy trouble. I mean, we had Kill Raven in one, and Spider-Man was in another one. It's the fun side of those characters, it's not the dark,
Yeah.
deadly horror stuff. It's more of the fun, out of control sexiness characters. And we had a blast doing them. They did very well. I think if I went to CB and said we'd be down for one, I think he might go for it. Who knows? Because then they would just package them again. That's how that works,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So they make.
I'd love to see.
That's a good question, Ange. I maybe I'll ask CB if he's interested.
There you go. Absolutely, man. I'm voting for another Daughters of the Dragon.
Well, that would be if Marvel had to come to me with anything. If they give me another Daughters of the Dragon, I would do it tomorrow. Again, just grounded like we wrote them. Less about the Heroes for Hire because that was a separate book.
Sure.
But I would get Justin and I to do that again. Daughters of the Dragon. I love those characters. I think they're underused. And even when they're used, I feel like they're not used correctly. I feel like they're like throwaway characters, and I'm like they're not. They're like Marvel Prime for me.
Yeah, no, they should be frontline street characters, and also, frankly, having an Asian person and an African American character, it's like, this is right there for you. And again, this history that they have as great street fighters themselves, absolutely, man.
Oh man, I used to love when they would appear in the John Byrne, books. I love Misty Knight and Colleen in those books.
Colleen Wing, absolutely.
Yeah, man. You kind of look as a part of the character, part of the career is working on things you did, you loved when you were younger. It's when I got to ink Galassi on Master of Kung Fu, that was like check off the list. That's good. When I got to do Killraven and Claws, check off the list. Okay, I have a lot of that stuff that I got to do in my career. I got to go back. Even writing Deadpool was fun for a year. Doing that, I was like, okay, I get Deadpool, year of Deadpool. I got to put Punisher in it. Check. I got to write Punisher. Check. So it's interesting when that stuff happens because it's sometimes you can't say no to it.
I get it. Chris is giving a vote for Tony and the Pizza Guys.
Yeah, Tony and the Pizza Guys sounds like a bad band coming out of Brooklyn or something. I don't think I'd be doing Tony and the Pizza Guys, but Chris understands what I was talking about there.
Completely, absolutely, man. Well, again, it is these third tier characters. God, look what King and Smallwood did with Human Target. Incredible book. That's the thing, man. And truly, the great thing about both of the big two is they have these hundreds of characters. I remember back when I know it was Azzarello, but I think it was Rizzo when they did Johnny Double before they did 100 Bullets.
Right. I mean, the only reason I got to do Jonah Hex was because Azzarello was going to do Jonah Hex, and he never got around to it. And he did his Loveless instead, right? And
yes.
And then I got a call, and they said, well, he's not doing Hex. Do you want it now? Because I was like a second ask, And I was like, yes, I would. So, stuff happens for a reason.
Well, truly, Jimmy, that run with you, Justin, and the amazing artists you got for every issue. I remember talking to Darwin about his issue, and and some of the other greats that, and also I loved how you guys would juke, and, we got all this great kind of classic Hex kind of storytelling, but then all of a sudden you throw them in modern day with Booster.
Yeah, the All-Star Western. The good news is they announced the All-Star Western Omnibus, so that's for October.
Fantastic, man.
And I will say it on your show, if anyone buys it and brings it to a convention, I will do a sketch for free on the inside cover.
Outstanding. All right, you heard it here first, kids.
Here first.
Absolutely.
Anybody buys it, if you're going to carry that monster, it's over 1,000 pages. If you want to bring it to the show, I literally will stop everything online when you bring it up, and I will do you a nice, quick Jonah Hex sketch in there, and guaranteed. So
outstanding.
Worth the investment. It's free sketch. Why not?
Why not? Absolutely, man. And it's only going to make that book more valuable.
I'm hoping the inside cover is not a black piece of paper. That's
exactly. You got to pull up the silver.
I'm hoping it's white or beige or something. So
you got to talk to somebody in production. Absolutely, man. Make it easy.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, we did talk to them about it because we had the conversation of should it be each issue or should it be all the first stories in order and then the backup stories. And I got to tell you, I chose for the backup stories to be later because I felt like this is the first time we can read that whole story clean, and then you can read each story separate as it was meant to be seen. The way it breaks up in the issues, it was really tough for people when it's collected. It's going to be tough for them to go back and forth. So they asked Justin and I how we wanted it, and we got to choose the cover too. We wanted the Darwin cover on it.
Oh, that's great, man. That was
Yeah,
that snowstorm cover, right?
Yeah, yes. No, it's the one. It's the last issue one.
Oh, excuse me. Sure. Yes,
yeah, the
yes.
also ways like into the sunset and everything, and you know, they were going to use a different cover, and we just said, you know, it's like he's no longer with us, Darwin, but it's a great, you know, it's a great image, and I think that would be great for the for the collection. And this is only the collection of All-Star Western, not the 70 issue series. That one I'm still waiting. One day they said if this does well, then they'll think about doing the other one. So
I hope so. I hope so.
So that's why I'm offering this sketch. I want people to buy. I want people to buy it. You know.
No, I mean truly an incredible run. I'm really glad that the powers that be let you.
Yeah, we got not only Moritat, but there's like Phil Winslate. There's
David. Lopez. 3 names. David. I forget his name. David Michael Higgins, maybe, or
who's that?
I can't remember the guy's name, and frankly, I didn't know his stuff until he did one of your issues. But I know his first name was David.
But in the All-Star
says he really loved it.
Had like those were the regular, like Anne just saying, Phil Noto. Those were in the regular Jonah Hex book. The All-Star Westerns had the backups by all these different artists. Yeah,
excuse me. Yes.
Stuff.
Yes. Dino checking in. Dean Haspiel collaborating with Jimmy on a Jonah Hex story is on my bucket list.
Yeah, Dean, man, I love to work with Dean. I love his stuff. You know, knowing Dean, it's like you know how to write for Dean. You know, like knowing a person, and that was the collaborations we had on the regular Hex series. Was I knew who the artist was. We wrote the stories for the artist. There was only one time where we had an issue. You know, Jeff Darrow asked us to write an issue of the book, and we wrote it exactly for Jeff. And then Jeff said, I don't want to do that one because it looks like it was written just for me. And I'm like, it was. And he's like, no, I want to do 2 guys in the street with guns. And we gave Jeff's book to the only other person they thought that could nail it, which was Eduardo Riso. And he killed on it. That was that circus one.
Okay,
and he killed on it. And then we wrote another one for
Darrow.
And he's like, this is great, but my page rate sucks at DC, so I'm not going to do it. So we were like, all right, we're done writing for Jeff now. I love Jeff, by the way. I love him.
Dude, one of my earliest and best interviews. And he's like, yeah, we did it. We don't need to do it again. I'm like, all right, Jeff, whatever. I'm like, that's fine. I got my one from you. I'm happy.
He's a wonderful guy. I love chatting with him. I love his art and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't get to work together, unfortunately, because and he's funny because I would have threw him $1,000 out of my own pocket to get him to do it. You know, I probably would have bought all the art. I would have tried to buy all the art.
I get it.
But anyway, you know, that run was a great run just for me for the fact that I got to become friends with Jordi Bernay and then I got to work with Darwin a couple of times and Dick Giordano. I mean, writing for Dick Giordano, I'm like, who am I to write for Dick Giordano?
Yeah, you know? I get it, man. No, again, I get it exactly. You know. Jesus, it's funny at 2009 WonderCon, I bought a fantastic hex from Tony DeZuniga.
Oh yeah, Tony.
And and really, it's one of my proudest pieces that is on my wall framed, and I'm like,
I miss him. I miss seeing him and his wife at the show.
Yes.
And Tony eventually would always try to give me a drawing, and I'd always try to pay him for it, and. We did that trade book for him, the collection. We wrote that exactly. But I'm hoping one day if they do the omnibus, they'll also put that in there,
Yeah.
But what a wonderful man. I mean, he's co-creator on that character. And we kind of dragged him out of retirement to do that book.
I remember.
But he kicked ass on it. He's an art. He's a real artist. He wasn't like a regular comic art. He was like he did like this art, like it was just art, like it was beautiful drawings, like look like nothing else, you know.
Well, not to generalize, but truly, so many of those great Filipino artists that came in the '70s, they just had their own thing going on. And Alcala was like that, and uh,
Fredo, yeah, man, yeah,
yeah. I mean, all these guys, and it's truly, and it was amazing as I learned, as you well know, that they drew small and didn't know that the American artists were drawing big, and then it would get reduced. They're like, well, that's what we saw, so that's what we thought you wanted. And I mean, my God, they were just doing these, like you said, this intricate art, and
yeah.
like the size of a baseball card panel.
I
Crazy.
think Joe Kubert brought all those guys up there to DC when he was doing, because he was doing Ragman and all those books.
Well,
You know, just amazing. Nestor Redondo. There was a whole bunch of
yes,
guys, like just
yes,
amazing. Ernie Chan. There's a
Ernie
whole
Chan,
bunch of
yeah.
guys there that were the Filipino artists. Alex Nino, I still see him drawing online all the time. Pretty amazing to see.
Yep.
Just great guys. Tony, you know, Tony was unfortunately we lost him early on. I didn't feel he was that old, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm in the appreciation zone of everyone now, because I'm thinking, how long have we got for these guys? I'm constantly talking to the older gentlemen in our business that, and then I realize the younger people think I'm the older gentleman. So I'm like, okay,
But there's a generation. There is a generation ahead of us, and I've got my circle. In fact, I just had Mike Gold on, and Mike's a friend, you know, and Kupperberg's a friend, you know. I mean,
sure, Paul's great.
Yeah,
Paul's great. You know, you got Walt Simonson,
of course.
You got Stranko. Jim is still
Yes.
out there, and but they're fewer and fewer, you know. And then we lose some young, you know. We lose some like Darwin. We lose them way too young.
Yeah, Cassidy, you know.
Yeah, John. I mean, nobody saw that guy, man. You know, I saw John at Connecticut, and I would talk him like, you know, I'm going to see him next week, and then gone.
No,
you know?
man, and John Paul Leone, another one, not to be maudlin, but yeah, all these great guys that died young. No, I hear you, man.
Yeah, well, we got to appreciate people while they're here.
Amen.
That's the key.
And thankfully, the art will endure, and you know, we'll still be talking about these guys 20 years from now and stuff.
Yeah, until we're dead, and then they can talk about us, right?
And get half the information wrong.
Right? They'll just make stories up. I've had stories told to me about me that I never happened, and I'm always like, that's interesting.
Well, my fun thing now is to read Chat GBT and who is John Suntress. And believe me, everybody knows I'm nobody, but It is hilarious about the details of my biography they get wrong. And apparently, I worked on animation on the East Coast before doing Woodville, and I'm like, oh, really? Fascinating. Okay.
I did it. I put a question into Chat GDP. I think I still have it here, because I was laughing. It said, if you were a Hollywood studio, would you hire Jimmy Palmiotti? So I put that question in, and it came back, hiring Jimmy Palmiotti to create IP, intellectual property, would be a smart move, depending on your goals. And it was very flattering. And
That's
then
cool.
at the end it says, at the end there's a flip side.
Uh-oh.
And it says, his style leads heavily into gritty, unconventional narratives. Think sex, violence, and morally gray heroes, which might not always align with a studio chasing mainstream, family-friendly blockbusters. Very true.
That's true,
He's also been very vocal about past frustrations with Hollywood, like losing creative control or seeing ideas repurposed without credit. Very true. If you're a studio that micromanages or prioritizes safe bets, he might just push back. But if you want bold original IP with a proven path to an adaptation, Palmiotti's a solid bet. Just give him room to cook.
Interesting.
And I was like, who writes this shit? But you know,
the robots do. The robots. When somebody sends me a positive thing they see on ChatGPT or one of these AI things, I'm like, the robots love me, man. What can I say?
Oh, so you can, if you write a book and you want to get reviews, you put in ChatGPT, go, what did people think of my book, and you put the title, and it just grabs from all these places. And you know, ChatGPT is limited, right? Because the newer AIs have they access thousands of websites. It's pretty amazing how a lot of people are going to be out of work soon because of this stuff. But that's just about adapting to the new, the new normal.
I hear you, buddy.
But
Yeah,
I will say it's kind of funny to put in weird questions about yourself and have answers like that,
that's great.
come up, and I'm just like, well, okay, I don't know what, at least they didn't say I was a magician or something, Um, that was Darwin Cook's Wikipedia for a while. He goes, it says I was a magician, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know who wrote that. I think Wikipedia's people screw around with other people's Wikipedias. I've had things taken out of mine Wikipedia bios, and I was like, who would do that?
You know, and forgive my ego, but I was trying forever to get my own Wikipedia page because
Right.
I am cited in the reference section of so many creators, and they'll cite a word balloon interview or something,
Right.
and all I've hit is red tape, and no, and I'm like, meanwhile, there are a bunch of other podcasts that I'm not going to say they're great or suck, but they have their Wikipedia pages. I'm like, I really was there from the start. I started in 2005. In fact, next month is my 20th anniversary.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Oh, thanks, brother.
That's
you very
big.
much.
That's big.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, come on, man. I'm not like, hey, how you doing? It's Johnny's podcast. Let me tell you what I like right now. Great.
It's always a thing. It's a thing that when you get older, you're like, what am I leaving behind?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I am truly, Jimmy, I got into this to get a better radio job. And 20 years later, this is what I do. And much like you with your creator-owned stuff, and it's like, no, that's great. We were forgive me for imprinting my own dissatisfaction or what, being unsatisfied by the jobs I was being offered in broadcasting. But it's like, then make your own shit. You don't make your own shit. It's that simple.
I always think if I didn't do comics, what would I do? And I would love to do what you're doing, just talk to people and blah blah blah.
Well, you've had your moments of podcasts and stuff.
I did a bunch of those. Listen to Jimmy's, and those were crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, it's what we do in comics is not a very social job. So
sure.
So when you meet a creator, understand that they probably haven't left their basement or house for weeks. So be kind.
Should we wrap? I don't want to keep you too long.
Sure, yeah, let's wrap. All
right, buddy. Well, let's remind everybody: Painkiller Jane and GI Zombie. The Kickstarter is going on now. Really, it looks excellent. And again, I love the pairing. And
it's two books. It's two big fat books, and it's just if you're overseas or if you just can't afford it, it's $10 for the two digital books, but you're going to also get the stretch goals. There's some other stuff, so you'll get other digital books. So you'll wind up with. It's a good bet for $10. I want to say if you have to have those Amanda Connor covers, understand that it's limited to only what's ordered. So some of these runs might only be 100 books. So as far as collector's items, anything that's 100, you're really not. It's going to wind up being secondary market on some of this stuff is crazy. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
I hope you guys just check it out. Take a look at the campaign. Back it, retweet it, send it around. Just don't cancel it.
And in the meantime, also from Mad Cave, if you missed out on, is it Pop Kills? I forget the title.
Pop Kill.
It is Pop Kill. Okay, very good.
It's the back of the.
Yes, of course. So yeah, corporate
Pop Kill. We got
corporate Soda Wars.
Gunslinger.
Yes.
We got. I don't know what's behind
and
this stuff.
And Elvira and Harley coming this summer.
Yeah, coming this summer, and then some other stuff we'll be announcing soon. So
outstanding.
Man.
All right, Jim. Expect me to bug you in a couple months, and certainly I will definitely see you at Terrificon in August.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure, John.
I feel the same way, Jimmy. I always appreciate you coming back. Thank you.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you. And for everybody else, I will be at C2E2 this weekend. I'm doing Sven Guli's panel on Saturday.
Ooh, tell him I said hi.
Oh, I absolutely will. I know. I'm so happy because I know and I know Didio's one of his biggest fans.
Yeah, Amanda did a T-shirt for him, and we love him. He's great.
Wonderful guy, man. So yeah, that's going to be Saturday at C2E2. I don't have a table. I'm wandering around. You know what I sound like. You know what I look like. Come and say hello. Let me thank you for supporting Word Balloon when you do. Otherwise, we'll convene next week. I know Mark Waid is going to be on next week. and trying to set some other stuff up that I'll likely talk about. Charles Soule will be on sooner than later to talk about his stuff. So all that coming up on Word Balloon this month. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.